Today we're going to have a look at how to draft from one of our light tankers. So before we start, let's first identify the components of the pump system and the journey that our water will take. So normal pumping, our water starts in our tank stored on the back of the appliance, which is 500 litres worth on our LTs. From here our water will meet this valve here. Now on the light tankers this is slightly different to our HSRs in that this is our tank to pump valve as well as our collector valve. It's a bit of a three-way gate going on there. From there our water will go to the inlet side of the pump, which on these is this pipe coming in through here. This goes into the centre or the eye of the centrifuge, gets its energy, comes out the top of the pump set here. So from here we have a couple of options for deliveries. We can see all the pipe work there, one of them going off to our hose reel, another going off to all of our front deliveries and our cab sprays, and we have this option here which is a pump to tank valve or a recirc valve. So if we just open that, that takes water from the outlet side of our pump and sends it back into the tank. On this side here we have our tank fill, so this will put water just directly into the tank, so nothing to do with the pump, and we also have a delivery here as well. Now in these trucks we just have the one pressure gauge, so this is just the outlet pressure. To turn the pump on, we've just got a simple start button here with a throttle up and a throttle down. So now we've identified all of the parts, let's set up for a bit of drafting and we'll go through the process of how to get a prime. So the little drill that we have set up here, we've just grabbed a 40mm hose off of the light tanker, we've charged it, made it into a little coil, laid a tarp or a salvage sheet in the middle of it. We've then used the water supply off of the truck to fill it up with water. Now we're about 350 litres of water in there, and now we can practice doing our drafting. So let's have a quick look at some of the components specific for drafting. On the end of our suction hose we have a foot valve. Now this is a little one-way valve, so it will let water back in, but it won't let water come back down. So once this suction hose is full of water, it won't let any back out. So this goes into a cam lock fitting and into the suction hose. Now the suction hose is kind of special. It's got a steel coil running through the centre of it, so this allows it to withstand both internal and external pressure. On the other end of the hose you'll notice we have another cam lock fitting. This will be a cam lock female. In the end you'll see a little seal. We'll connect this on to the male cam lock fitting. Now that is the collector on our light tanker, and remembering from before that this is also our tank to pump valve. So the pump on this appliance, same as any of our fire trucks, is a centrifugal pump. Now centrifugal pumps are really good at pumping water, but they can't pump air. At the moment this suction hose is going to be full of air. So to get rid of that air we need a different type of pump. On this appliance it's a diaphragm pump. So you'll see just inside there's a little rubber diaphragm, and when we move this handle that pulls it back out and back in. That creates a pumping action which removes the air from our suction hose and fills it up with water. So now we understand how it all works. Let's go through a little bit of a sequence of how to get a prime on our light tanker. To get a prime on our light tanker, we're going to start off with the suction hose end, place it in the water. Now some things to think about when we're putting it in the water. We don't want the end of the hose to be too close to the surface of the water. That'll create a little bit of a vortex and pull air into the system. We also don't want it to be too much down into the bottom surface of our body of water. So if we think of mine sites, we've got turkeys' nests and dams, they're normally a soft, soggy bottom, so that'll actually clog up our strainer and will lead to us losing a prime. So to get around that, you just need to put something floating tight to the foot valve so it sits just off of the bottom of the dam. The next thing we're going to do is connect our suction hose into our collector. From there we can then move this valve, remembering this is our tank to pump valve. This is our tank to pump valve as well as our collector line. So we want to open him up the entire way. Notice the water that's leaking out the bottom now. This is because we've got water from the tank going down into our suction hose, filling this up. From here we're going to need to get a prime. So go over to our little primer pump here. We'll turn on this black valve here into that position. It'll operate the primer pump. Pull this lever backwards and forwards. When we're doing this, we're paying attention to the noise that's being made. You will hear a distinct difference in the sound once it's got water in the system. We're also going to be looking down underneath the truck. Once there's a continuous stream of water there, we know that the hose is totally full of water, there's no air. We also want to be paying attention to the amount of effort that we're using to push on this handle. Obviously water is heavier than air, so once it's full of water it'll be harder to push. Once we are content that we have a prime, put the handle back into this upright position and close this black valve here. Now our pump has a prime. This means the inlet side is full of water. We can now turn on the pump as we normally would, so I'd better throttle up, start the pump. Once the pump is running, we have a couple of options. If we want to fill the tank, open your pump to tank valve, and that will put water directly back into the tank. As we can see, the diameter of this hose here is somewhat smaller than the diameter of the suction hose. So if we want to be a little bit more efficient with our filling of our tank, you can attach your hose to the delivery, run that into your tank fill. So this will take water from the outlet side of the pump and put it straight into the tank only. So it's just a little bit more efficient because the size of your fire hose is very similar to the size of your suction hose. So now we've stepped through all that, let's set it all up in kind of real time.